Hello and welcome to another video. In this video I'm going to be explaining my technique that I like to use when I want to heal a pattern that's showing up. So this is commonly known as shadow work. So the shadows are the parts of us that we neglect, that we don't see, and through the ego, through thought, then manifest scenarios forcing us to feel this emotion. So it may be guilt, for example. If a feeling of guilt is something you experienced a trauma when you were a child, felt guilty about something, you'll find then in later life you're manifesting situations which are forcing you to re-feel this guilt. And until you feel the guilt and integrate it, you'll keep manifesting the same situations over and over again until you learn the lesson. So, shadow work is a really effective way of healing, of being with that pain, that trauma, that energy, and allowing the emotions to come up. And as they come up, you, as you are present now, can be aware of it and you hold it in your awareness. You don't have to do anything, you just have to be there and be present for it. So I've written these in stages, in 7 stages, but to be honest, healing is healing. People can have spontaneous realizations and just feeling like okay, or moments of liberation or enlightenment or whatever. These are techniques that I like to use for those patterns that you know are there, but they're hard because you're so conditioned, your body mind is so conditioned to avoiding feeling that pain. It's hard to even sit down for a couple of minutes and meditate on it. Your mind's going 100 miles an hour and you think of something else, oh, I've got to do that, and your mind defends against it because that's what it's always done. But if you're ready to be with the old version of you, the child version, the inner child, and do some healing, this is a technique you can use, and feel free to use it as I go through it, as I'm talking. You can start to get familiar with yourself and your energies that are wanting to be healed. So step number 1, be triggered. That's the easiest step. I think we've all experienced that. So you know what needs to be healed because the trigger always shows up. Okay, it could be fear, anger, sadness, whatever label you give it, the emotion's there. Someone has said something, or even you're not doing anything, but this memory pops into your head, something comes to mind, you're always thinking about something. That's the trigger. Okay, step 2 is be aware of the story around the trigger, but do not engage in thought. Instead, locate the energy in the body. So this is where most people don't even get to this stage of healing. They just stay in the getting triggered and then feeling awful and suffering and oh my god, oh I'm such an idiot, why did I do that, oh, and then they distract themselves with whatever, some kind of stimulation. Could be alcohol, any type of drug really, to change your state of mind, even exercise, going out, running or something to not feel that pain. But if you're ready, be aware of the story, but instead of going with the thought, let the thoughts just come, let them be, and try and locate the energy in the body. Me, for example, I often find anger can be around the heart area. I experience anger in the heart, or guilt could be right in the gut, in the stomach. So try and just be aware of where that feeling is. It could be anywhere on your body. Yeah, some people have had things showing up like on their back. They're aware of sensations on their head. Just try and be still and be aware of where the sensations are and put your attention on that. Step 3, part 1, okay, this is called sublimation. So what colour would the energy have? Has it got a colour? Could it have a colour? Could it have a shape? Okay. If you're having a hard time, if your mind's defending against these questions, of course it doesn't have a colour, of course it doesn't have a shape. Phrase it differently. If it had a shape, what shape would it have? If it had a colour, what colour would it have? And normally before your mind can even come in and start talking, you'll have images, you'll know intuitively, oh okay, yeah, so the anger is it's near my heart, and it's red, and it's a dark red. It's a dark red. And the shape is like a jaggedy, uncomfortable shape. Step 4 is sit in it. Do not seek to change the energy, just begin to see it for how it is. So the reason you start doing the sublimation, giving it colours, shapes, or whatever, just allows you to keep your attention on it and not go into the defences, because instead of labelling it as that horrible anger, you're now bringing it, you're seeing it for what it really is. Oh, okay, so it's this, it's got a shape, it's a jaggedy, triangular shape, and it's red, and it's a dark red. So this, where you go back to the sublimation, and you go into step 2. So part 1 is giving it a shape, a name even. Could be lots of different things, but normally shapes, colours are good places to start. And then begin to have a dialogue with that energy. Okay? Ask it questions. Ask it how it's feeling. And you'll start to get responses from it. It may bring you back to childhood memory. That's often been the case that I've experienced. I'll go into it, just sit with it, and I'll have a flash of, oh, okay, so that's the origin of this energy. That's when it showed up. And I wasn't in a situation to be with that energy and to feel that energy then. But I am now. Now my awareness is a lot bigger. My capacity for love and to holding this energy is a lot greater than it was. So a good question to ask is, what do you need? Ask the energy, what does it need? And you'll get a response. And often when I ask this question, I kind of feel the energy moving through me, and it can come out in tears, it can come out as anger. And this moves you on to step 6, which is allow the energy to manifest. If you feel angry, meet the anger where it is. Really embody it, and let it come out. If it's sadness, really sit in that sadness, be sad. If it's fear, if you're feeling scared, allow your body to be scared. Allow yourself to hold that energy. Cry, punch, scream into a pillow, whatever you need to do, just let it manifest, let it be there. But in the meantime, you've still got the awareness that's listening to my voice now. The awareness, the eternal presence that you are, is able to hold all of that without judging it. Just let the energy move through you, let it move through the body, and observe it. Step 7 is something called Hopopopono. Hopopopono, I think, comes from the Native Americans who used it as a healing technique. And it's comprised of 4 statements. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. So as the energy is manifesting through you and you're experiencing that pain, you're experiencing that anger, again, start up the dialogue with the energy and tell it, I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. Chant these as you stay with the energy and the sensation. You can expand on the phrases if you want. For example, please forgive me. Please forgive me for ignoring you, for not being with you all these years. Thank you for the lesson you have given me. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for never leaving me, for always being there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're feeling this pain. I'm sorry I've not been with you until now, but I'm here now. And I love you. And I see you. When you do this, the energy, if you've connected with that energy, you will feel like tears come up and just like cry. Just let it out and do exactly what you did before when you were holding that space for the energy as you were being angry. Just let it manifest. You know you've hit the sweet spot, the start of that healing, that integration, when you go back to that energy and you start to feel like a joy, a childlike joy, and you feel free, and you can start feeling the energy build up and smiling. And this might not happen right away. You might have some heavy energy, some dense patterns that have been there for years and years. But if you keep going back to using this technique, eventually that energy will start to feel loved and adored by you. And a childlike joy will replace the feelings you were having before of guilt, anger, or whatever. Be aware that old thought patterns and energies may show up after the healing session. Your body and mind has been conditioned for years and years and years, so it's normal for thoughts to still be there. But as the thoughts come, just go straight back to the energy and hold it and be there for it. You can breathe and use Hopopopono as it's coming up. So repeat the 4 expressions. I love you. And breathe out. Please forgive me. Thank you. I'm sorry. As you do this, like, the energies will diminish until a trigger might happen and you don't have any response to it. In fact, when someone is in an ego state and says something to you which previously would have triggered you, instead of that trigger reaction, what comes forth is what you've just put in yourself, which is just compassion for that person, because you know how much they're suffering and the pain that they're in. You might not want to, doesn't mean you're going to spend a lot of time with that person necessarily. A healthy manifestation could be putting in boundaries and cutting off relationships and saying, actually, I'm not with that anymore. I don't need that lesson, so I don't need to be with that person anymore. That is the technique that I use, and I think that's everything. Another thing before I finish is dreams. When you do this technique, it is a very powerful healing technique. So be aware of your dreams. You may have some strange dreams. Dreams can be very useful. I'll do another video about dreams in particular and how to analyze your dreams and understand what messages are coming through to you from your subconscious mind or higher dimensions or whatever you believe the message is coming from, but essentially it's coming from you, the Eternal. And be very gentle with yourself after doing these sessions. Imagine it's like a big workout for your soul. So if you were just to do a huge workout session, break down all those muscle fibers, you wouldn't then expect to be able to go and do a weight training session straight away. It will take time for the reintegration of truth to happen. But you're on the way. If you're interested in working with me one-to-one, check out the description box below. I've got a profile on non-dual therapists. Check it out. If you feel called, please feel free to send me an email and we can work out a time to work together one-to-one, and I can help you with whatever you're going through at the moment. Sit through these patterns and yeah. Okay. Take care.